Hey there, welcome back to the I Love Sarees Podcast, episode 2. Today we are chatting with Ms. Kuppulakshmi Krishnamoorthy, Global Head for Startup Initiatives at Zoho Corporation. So, coming from a middle class family, Ms. Kuppu has faced a lot of challenges in her high school, especially in the 80s and 90s. It was a very big deal back then. So, facing lots of challenges in every stages of her life, today she has emerged as an incredible human, mentor, and a super mom. So, today we are glad to interview her. Welcome, Ms. Kuppu.
Thank you, Akshay.
We are so glad to have you here today at I Love Sarees Podcast.
I'm happy to. Thank you.
So, being working in a tech background and today giving interview for a fashion brand. So, how do you feel to be in this crossover?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Some point in life, who you are, what you believe in, the kind of work you do, and what you wear, I think it all blends in to define who you are as a personal brand. I'm a big proponent of emotional intelligence, and I realize that what you wear, how you present yourself, speaks much louder even before we open our mouth when we enter a room or we enter a space. So this signals to people that you are a professional, you are here to get work done. So in that way, my work and how getting to do this as part of a small business that's just growing, I think it's come from a crossroad to a nice duet, like a music and lyrics together.
Yeah, so that's very glad to hear. And so, can you tell a story or any incident that changed your outlook on life? So, a positive incident that happened, or any kind of incident that happened that changed the outlook you view on your life.
I'm a big believer in the learning mindset. And from very early on in life, thanks to my parents and my sister, we always were trained on to be curious about the little things and ask silly questions without thinking too much, without thinking about what others would think of you. So in that way, one of the things that positively impacted me was in every stage of life. Like I'm 40 plus years old now, so at different stages of life, the positive impact has always come from asking silly questions and all that. And one of the things that stand out from my memory is that I remember I was in one of my previous stints at work, and I didn't have great exposure. And my boss was a male boss, and I didn't know at that time various etiquette and basic manners on how to function at office. And then having been born in a small town, and now here I am in Chennai, a lot of things are different and it's formal. So we had to move one day from one building to another, and I had to go with my boss. So he took out his car because we cannot just walk that distance. So I so stupidly insisted that I would sit at the back seat of the car, thinking that that's the respect that I have to pay when he's driving. So in a very nice way, he explained to me how he was not my driver, and that's the only situation where I can sit at the back of the car, and then I'm supposed to sit in the front. He didn't make me feel like an idiot, but at the same time, he drove in a lesson in a very empathetic way without making me feel small. So incidents like these that stand out, today I'm able to adjust in any kind of environment, thanks to leaders above me who've been very kind. Yeah.
So, during the early phase of your career, so do you had any toughest challenge that you had to come across to be who you are today? So, have you faced such challenges?
Yes. In fact, a lot, because I've been in the workforce for 20 plus years now. Time and again, life and challenges come together, and it's always in your mindset whether you look at these challenges, like they say, as opportunities in disguise. So yes, time and again, if I go back to early stages of my career, the challenge was from me, because I didn't know what I wanted to become, what is the purpose of my life, and where I should start my career. So if I look back, it looks a bit crazy, because I did my post-graduation in industrial microbiology, and then I moved to become a copy editor for a magazine, and then I become a soft skills trainer. Today I'm in the SaaS world. So looking from my life from outside, it looks like it's crazy, it does not make sense. But now I'm able to connect the dots on how each of these experiences has shaped who I am, be it understanding bias, including gender bias at work, how you can represent women in tech better. Challenges around storytelling. You open your mouth and you ask a question like this. I used to go blank. I used to forget the questions, and I used to use a lot of fillers like but and all of that. I think these challenges I have been able to overcome with guidance from my senior people by constant practice, by breaking this shell. I'm a very introverted person, but I've been able to work with different environments and people and then comfortably go back to my shell. So challenges have been around expressing what I think, understanding the difference between being kind and being nice, because once you become nice, you become a people pleaser and you get hurt a lot. But once you're kind, you understand what courage it takes to draw the line, to know what self-respect is, because only from self-respect stems out self-love. If you don't have self-love, you cannot be good at anything that you want to become, right from at home to outside. So that way, all of these challenges, I'm able to now look at it from a very positive angle, saying, okay, a challenge is here. This is an opportunity to teach me a lesson. Let me not bow down in front of this, but gently kneel down to the universe and say, okay, this is a humble experience for me to learn something.
Yeah. So how did you realize like what is your life purpose? So did you did you think that you will be working in Zoho at the early stage of your career? Like,
Not
do
in
you,
my
do you have any
wildest.
visions to?
I understand. Not in my wildest imagination did I realize I would end up in a software world. I always used to be passionate about storytelling, about simplifying things in a way people can understand. So, you know how year after year trends change everywhere, be in tech or non-tech. And it's important to have fundamental skills in place. So, your negotiation skills, how do you want to simplify a concept? Like even a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old would understand what you're doing. All of these are important components of life. So when I joined Zoho, there was a thread of connectivity because I was here to train people on how to do your storytelling. And then it made sense to learn tech, because that's how you effectively train people on how do you talk to businesses who are end customers to help them understand what Zoho is doing. So even 20 years from now, or 50 years, 100 years from now, these skills will remain as a skeleton unchanged.
Definitely.
Your soft skills, your personal branding, how do you treat people in front of you, whether someone is observing you or not, and how kind you are to yourself. As an extension, you're kind to others. All of this helps you stand out as a person, because like the famous quote by Dr. Maya Angelou goes, people forget how you treat them, and people never forget how you made them feel. So if you feel that the opposite person is very special and very important, and you become very approachable, I think you stay in people's heart for a long time.
So after working in Zoho for the past 15 years, so obviously your hard work has shaped your career growth. So how do you think Zoho has influenced your career growth?
This is a great question. So in this 15 years of journey, they say time is a very relative concept, no?
Yes.
I feel like I have grown younger and older at the same time. 15 years feels like a lifetime if every day you live a very intense life. And I'm a big believer of reviewing yourself every now and then. So I spent a lot of time reflecting on myself. And what Zoho has contributed is we have a very flat hierarchy at Zoho, and we believe that irrespective of our job titles, we all are human first. So in a technology world, Zoho stands out for this singular factor of how we always put employees first, we put customers first. And with this, I've realized that how important it is for every one of us as we imagine a new future, to put empathy, to put self-care, to understand that employees are people first, and they also have, each of us have our own games, our own challenges, our own secrets, our own problems in life. When we all come together, different personalities, it's important to rise above who we each of us are towards one common challenge. And it has shaped me a lot this way because the flat hierarchy has helped to have honest conversations around work-life balance, around the role women play in technology, around how we can delight our customers. So every day we get to learn directly from the top senior leaders. This inculcates a practice in you where you want to be the same for your juniors and you don't want to hoard all the knowledge. Okay, I've gained experience and I don't want to teach people. So we can't grow as a civilization, we can't grow as a society. So I have reached a point in this 15 years in Zoho where I have shaped my work a lot and the work has shaped me a lot in terms of understanding that no challenge is big enough if you ask for help.
Yes, exactly.
And if you come together as a team and look at one common goal, it does not matter if we are different personalities. And if you face challenges in life, you have to do just one thing. Put your hands up and ask for help. So I have a beautiful work-life integration, I would say, a beautiful balance where there are times when I come to work, I pay my car bills, I pay my electricity bills, I do my parent-teachers meeting, and then I go home and I'm able to catch up with work. So we have truly come to believe that individuals and their self-discipline, and you have to put trust 100% on the table. With all of this, we can go a long way in being who we are as individuals, being who we are as employees of organization, and being who we are as citizens of India. In all of these angles, I think Zoho has shaped me immensely, and I see this as some more a continuing journey.
Yes. So, how long do you want to continue in Zoho? You are visioning to continue in Zoho.
So in this 15 years, I've done things that I've never imagined I would. I've been able to travel to different countries I never thought I would and learn from those cultures and people and their beliefs. So right now, I've not been actively even thinking that I am part of an organization like it's a job. Like I said previously, it's become an integral part of who I am. So I'm not even actively thinking of how long. So I'm just taking one moment at a time, one day at a time.
So, so Zoho has a lots of people working in around India. So, like there are lots of mix of generations.
Yes.
So there are millennials, there are 90s, and there are Gen Zs.
Yes.
So, how do you think? What do you see the cultural contrast in their work styles?
Okay. So a few points stand out because we have people in the organization who have been here since the day of inception. So they've been here for 26, 27 years with the company. And there are people, like you said, who've just graduated out of college and they are here. What stands out is how our generation in the 80s defined as work and defined as loyalty. You know, if I look back at my parents and especially my granddad and all of those generations from the 60s and the 50s, you see most of the journey is about dedicating to one workplace and that's all they know. So the loyalty was beyond imagination. Now the sense of, especially after COVID, the sense of what is work and how much of work should be part of me has hugely changed. And it's taken a lot of time for me to process this because I'm a work bum. I like to be, I engage myself in different kinds of work at home and at work. So how this generation looks at work when I can travel, work when I'm bored, especially if you take me and you subtract work, there's a large amount of me left. In those days, you take work from people and they would not know how to define themselves. So in a nice way, I think it's shaping up and I get to see the entire spectrum of that and how people want to travel and work. So they understand that there's much more to life than just who you are at work. So it's interesting to watch this spectrum unfold and how all of these generations come together to, each of them have to travel their distance to make things work. So it's an interesting time we are in.
So do you think working with millennials were more comfortable for you or working with Gen Zs, their working, their culture and their dressing, their styles?
Right. Like I said, it takes some time to process, though you are in India, though you are in Chennai, it's one of the metropolitan cities, and who you are and what you wear to work has changed a lot.
Yes.
And Zoho believes in a very informal culture. So we don't really look at Monday there's a formal attire, Fridays are casual, you just wear whatever you want. I come from an evolved mindset because I've worked with people across generation, and I've come to subtract the fact that it doesn't matter as long as it's interfering with the work.
Yes.
People can express who they are. So I've been open to letting myself change based on the change that comes to me.
Yes.
And I have a 13-year-old daughter
Yes.
who's defining what Gen Z and the next generation is. So it's a lot to process, and I've seen all of these people come together with an open mind to say, okay, what do you want and what would work for me?
Yes.
So somewhere we'll find a mid place, and we are here to get work done, so let's get that done.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So like while I was preparing the questions, so I was like actually viewing your social media pages, and I came across your 20s photos.
Okay.
So it was, I really felt that your fashion sense was incredible back then.
Thank you.
I think I remember wearing I think I saw you a picture which was where you were wearing a jeans, a top, and a bucket hat.
Right.
Yeah, with your husband.
Right.
So it was very nice. Like I actually thought I used to wear jeans like after my 15 years of age, but like back 90s, it was like a surprise to me to see someone wearing jeans and a
Right.
bucket hat back then.
Right.
So, but now also I see your incredible fashion sense.
Thank you.
Your recent pictures. So how do you think the fashion, do you think like fashion is something that it's your personal choice to dress up like that, or do you think the work culture has influenced to dress up you like that?
Right. So I've worked in different places with different definitions of how you should come to work. I've been part of organizations that had clear definitions of what's allowed at work and what's not. And like Zoho, that leaves it to the individual to decide how you would show up at work. Back then, in 20s, I would say my fashion sense was based on how much my budget was. We did not have the privilege of pocket money, and I grew up in a different socioeconomic condition. So there was a time in college where I lived out of a cardboard box with just 5 to 6 set of clothes. So it was important to understand, okay, I have this much money to buy this many clothes. So where will I put that investment? So you understand that, okay, a mix and match is possible, or if there is a thrift sale that's going on, that's possible. I wore a lot of hand-me-downs. So fashion in my 20s to now, one thing that has not changed is comfort is very important. And what I look at myself is more important than how others will look at me.
Yes.
And this has helped me immensely to influence my daughter in saying that you dress up first for yourself, to express yourself. And you understand that you don't have to prove or win somebody
Someone's
just by
approval.
dressing up in some way. So it's important to dress according to the occasion and the situation that you are in. I'm a feminist that believes that the strength comes from understanding that if someone is stopping me from becoming who I am, that is me, first of all.
Yes.
So your fashion enhances that personality, but that does not interfere with who you are. So from 20s to now, when I have enough money to buy what I want, I think I have shifted to a comfortable place where when people look at me, I want them to first acknowledge my intellectual component.
Yes.
And where this is like a silent enhancer of that. So when I wear a sari, my job is done. When I enter a place, they understand an experienced person is coming. That prevents a lot of small talk. So we get talking about business in the first few minutes.
Yes. So do you prefer wearing saris on your daily basis, or you just prefer your based on your comfort?
Right. Ask this question 10 years back and I would probably sulk at wearing sari every day.
Even I.
Same. Right. Right now, it's become a very essential part of who I am. Because, like I said, when I travel and when I get to stand on stage in front of so many people, I understand that in India, because of so many reasons, the Western influence and comfort and the weather that's hot throughout the year, we've chosen other, comforting styles influenced by Western culture. But when I travel, I realize that different parts of the world, they first show who they are. They
Yes.
never are ashamed of their own culture.
Yes.
That includes fashion and what they wear. So I've come to realize that sari gives me that power to show my knowledge and experience to people, and I'm able to sit and hold my chair or stand in a stage from a very powerful angle. So this makes anybody opposite to me to listen, saying, okay, here she is to talk about work, and she has experience, and let's see what she has brought to the table.
Yes.
So you know, from a gender angle, it's very important that people's attention always unconsciously or consciously gets drawn to what you are wearing.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so I am able to quickly shift to what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And sari is the most comfortable and powerful way of showing who I am today in 2024.
Yeah. So as you embrace sustainable living, so would you prefer sustainable clothing rather than the fast fashion?
Any day, because in 2011 when I became a mom, and I had enough money to build my own wardrobe, I did get carried away with not knowing what type of clothes I even had. Now I want to leave back a planet that's cleaner and more sustainable, and sari allows you to experiment with multiple ways what not you can make out of a sari.
Yes.
So today I have a few pieces of saris that's been passed down generations. You don't get those quality and those kind of vintage stuff.
Yes.
That you can make it into a jumpsuit, you can make it into any kind of clothing that you want.
Yes.
So that way, yes, every day I try to become more sustainable, and in the past 2-3 years, I've done 20% of the shopping than I have ever done. So I've tried to be very minimal in the new stuff that I buy. So I completely open to repeating what I have.
That's really good to hear. As you said, you had a 13-year-old daughter. You have a 13-year-old daughter, and so like balancing the work-life balance. So do you think the work-life affects your bond with your daughter, and how do you make time for yourself and your family, and especially your daughter? So how do you make time? Self-love, self-care is also very important nowadays. So how do you balance
It's an
that?
everyday struggle, Akshay. I realize there are days when I'm looking at my daughter and screaming at her saying, Mommy needs me time. So there is a reminder, because unconsciously the patriarchal beliefs and practices seep into your life. Though every day my spouse and I, we are talking about it, we are practicing and everything. And I have a lot of mentors that I go to for different kinds of advice and guidance, because we all get lost at different points in life, and you need lighthouses to show the light and to show directions. So I have a mentor called Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, and she helps me in understanding questions from an outside of a problem when I face. So something I learned from her is there is nothing called work-life balance. She calls it the work-life integration. So the minute I put that word, it becomes very easy for me to understand that it is not like a seesaw where sometimes my personal life is up and sometimes my work is up. I have to work in a way where I look at it as concentric circles now, where I understand that I can use my privilege and I can use the freedom I have in Zoho to bring an integral component where I talk to my daughter when I'm at work. I make sure she's well fed and she's doing her homework, and then get back to work. And because of the self-discipline and the trust the organization has on you, I go back home and finish some of the work, because it's not like sitting on someone's head. So this has helped in working on mommy guilt, to be able to travel and focus on work when I want to. And I completely believe that quality time is very important. Yes. Is there any one person in your life you would want to spend 100% of your time with all the time? No, right? So, and familiarity breeds contempt.
Yes.
So my daughter and I, we share our own spaces. We don't want to look at each other for some time. But when we come together, that half an hour of intense conversation or reading a book together, sharing your everyday work or school life, that quality time has helped us a lot. So today, when I travel, I'd rather miss home more than she would ever miss me. And we are honest with each other on what we expect from each other. So that immensely helps.
I think it's actually a very essential thing to between a parent and a daughter. So I think you're doing an incredible job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So actually, I was very curious about your beauty routine. So when I saw your pictures, I didn't believe that you were 40 plus, and I couldn't believe still now. So what is your self-care routine? Can you share?
See, this goes back to again the middle class mentality, right? There was not enough money to buy clothes. We really didn't know. We used the word middle class very comfortably, but at one point in life, we were terribly poor. Like, we lost so much money, my dad, over a business deal back in the 80s. We couldn't really, our life literally like a movie changed overnight. We survived on hand-me-down clothes, second-hand clothes from others. We bought books from our seniors. At this point of time, when there's no space to think of fashion, right? There's no space to think of what you would put on your face or your hair care. My mom was a great believer of how do you do home remedies with what's available. So you use a little bit of your basin, your kadalamavu, a little bit of leftover water that you use to wash the milk vessel. You put these two together and rub. And then you eat a lot of seasonal fruits, and then you have peels of oranges, and then you dry and you mix it with turmeric powder. So a lot of this, one, was tied back to culture. And back in the 80s, you didn't have Instagram and Facebook to give you that FOMO of, oh, you have to use certain products to look beautiful. And so we had to do with what we had. And so my mom used to tell us that you have to be inside very, very clean. Your eating habits, your sleeping habits, drinking a lot of water, and thanks to not having money, you walk everywhere. So unconsciously, we were practicing healthy lifestyle, eating on time and sleeping, no television at home. So you're at bed by 8:30. Somehow, this has contributed to not having to use a lot of chemicals on myself. So even today, you give me a good brand from outside to any home remedy that I can, I always gravitate towards this. It's sustainable and I don't put a lot of chemicals. I don't disturb my skin a lot. There's no layers to that. So I'm very comfortable in showing my age and how I'm growing old. And I believe in clean eating, and I believe in having a clean mind and a heart. Somehow that reflects. It does not matter otherwise. We all will get old someday. Beyond your skin, your eyes will speak the language of love. People will feel the vibe of your presence. I think that slowly will start defining the beauty that would long be remembered. I sounded like a pageant person. Right?
It's actually very understandable. So, like, apart from the physical beauty routine and all the minimal things that you had, so but I can see that you still have that energy of the 20s that you have now, the aura, everything. So how, like, what kind of spiritual practices that you do?
Okay, right from a very young age, we always had to set aside time to visit a temple nearby, and my mom used to drill down slogans for us because she used to believe and tell us that people will go away. At any point in time, somebody will hurt you, somebody close will disappoint you. You always have to have faith as an anchor in life, so you will never feel alone. And if there's constant challenges you face in life, you realize that it's there for a reason, and you're able to detach. So when I'm in my 20s and 30s, I didn't quite realize. When I started living separately from my family in a working women hostel, and then you move to a new city with new people, I realized that I always gravitate towards Mother Nature, and then I believe that chanting some slogans helps me calm down. And now I'm 40, I'm able to tell myself, oh, don't take yourself so seriously. You're not here to save the world. Today, okay, you're facing a challenge. Tomorrow it'll be all right. So I am stressed out sometimes. It's not like I always have clear answers, but now I'm able to look at life in a detached way and realize that all of us will be forgotten. But in this little time, what can we do to be useful every day? So this spiritual and a little bit of religiousness helps in being humble and grounded, and believing in the universe that there's always something good that is written for you and you will find it.
Yeah. So, can you give a piece of advice for women who are looking after their baby, their family, and between the career?
Okay, I'm very bad at giving advice, and I generally people don't like getting advice. So I would like to give a few friendly tips to women out there who are lost or who are confused or who are frightened about, okay, if I get married I might not get my promotion. If I become a mother, will I be able to continue work or not? So the one tip I would give is never stop believing in who you are, because we women are trained to be grateful. I am grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the promotion. I'm grateful for my husband supporting my dreams. Have you ever heard the other side talk about this so much, how grateful they are? Because there, the belief in their competency comes first, right? So I want to tell all the women that however tough it gets, show up every day. Whatever you're doing, till you figure out what you want to do, every job that you take in that journey is here to teach a lesson. So, however tough it is, in your mind, be very clear whether or not you want to be a career woman. Once you have that answer clear, with your family, with your friends, with your in-laws, with your fiance, talk to them openly about what the career means to you, what becoming a mom means to you. Set expectations from day one. 3, understand that everyone is here in a journey. No one has that experience to figure out first time. So it's important to show your quality of work and then truly demand what your worth is. Never shy from negotiating a paycheck increase, never shy from asking for an opportunity and then figuring a way out. So these are the tips I want to say, that if you don't show up for yourself, don't think that anybody else will.
Yes, so I think it will be a great insight for women who are listening to this podcast. So, what is the one thing that you want to tell if you meet your younger self?
If I meet my younger self, I would say that life is going to be great, irrespective of the challenges you face. So don't be so serious.
Yeah.
Enjoy life some more.
So thank you so much, Ms. Kuppu. It was really great meeting you, and I'm so glad to get to know you, your journey, and your experience. And I think the audience who are listening to this podcast would have got an incredible insights from your journey. So keep inspiring us more, and all the best for you.
Sure. Thank you for having me as part of this podcast. I hope we have like 100 episodes and more of
Definitely.
awesome people through this. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.